Um, Currently I'm doing a read aloud of a story I wrote for a school project called Motion Pictures, and you'll know what it's about once we get started. Okay. Chapter 1, The Former Friends. It's so hot, says 12-year-old Evelyn. It is currently 79 degrees on her walk home from school. She was currently alone, and not very social. It's summer break, and she is currently the last day of school, and she is going on summer break. She looks over at the passing school bus. She believes that one reason that she isn't very social is that she would walk home, other than everyone else. The only friend she ever really had was these 4 kids about her age. They all recently got separated. They were split up into 5 different schools and never really contacted each other. She would sometimes contact them, but they would never respond to her. One friend that she had was a boy named Benjamin. He was a quirky kid and always joked around, even in the most unnecessary times. People would often get mad at him for acting up in class. Evelyn can't really tell how he is now. He was 9 when they last met, and he might have matured by now. Another old friend she had was Damaris. Other than Benjamin, he didn't smile as much. He was always serious and stayed quiet when Benjamin would tell one of his jokes. As Evelyn's memories were rushing back, she felt a zoom of sadness and depression. She starts to remember her 2 other friends, Amelia and Haiti. Amelia was a funny person. Even though she had some anger problems, she remembers when Amelia would be walking through the hallway. Someone bumped into her, and all her stuff flew onto the ground. Whoever bumped into her was constantly apologizing, but Amelia started screaming at her. The principal walked up to the 2. Evelyn doesn't remember much after that, except that Amelia had to go to 2 hours of detention. Haiti, however, was such a scaredy cat. She never went into the dark and ran away from horror movies. When she would watch a horror movie, Haiti would run screaming when the music gets tense. Evelyn started remembering all kinds of experiences, but it was over now. The only way that she can't feel sad anymore is if she stopped thinking about it. The only thing that connected them the most was their interests. They all liked comic writing. Every day after school, they would meet up in their garage and start writing a general story to draw. They would call their little group the Motion Pictures. She remembered creating characters. She knows she made a special first character, but she doesn't remember what it was. Then it finally snapped into her head. It was this cute little character named Kitty. It was this black cat standing on hind legs. It had little shoes and a brown button-down shirt and gray pants. It had a bushy tail and a cute, cheeky smile. When figuring out what she was walking home from school for, she realized that she was looking for knitted new paper from the store. She looked over to see a store called the Dollar Art. She walked in and started looking in the art section. She looked at all the crayons and pencils, scissors all around. Then she sees some paper. All the packages were the same paper except for one. It was a little crunched up, rather than the others. It was much cheaper and the only paper she could afford. She grabbed the pack and takes it to the counter. The man at the counter, a chubby fellow, walked up to Evelyn. The man started to greet her, but gave her a surprised look. He didn't speak. Evelyn was wondering why the man was acting this way. Imminently, the man snatched the paper from her hand. "Excuse me. Where did you get these?" asked the man. I got them from the art section," said Evelyn. The man gave her a nefarious look and put the papers behind the counter. Evelyn couldn't stop wondering what was so special about those papers, but she realized that she probably took them for a good reason. She walked out of the building, paperless. She continues on home, still wondering what was up with those papers. She arrived home and sits at her desk. She can't stop thinking of the man with the papers. Suddenly, she gets a text. It was from Amelia. She started to read it. "Come right over. We have something for you," it read. With the joy of gaining contact with her friend, she grabbed the backpack and headed out the door, leaving a note to her parents. She grabs one of her parents' bus tickets and waits out at a bus stop for 11 minutes. finally caught a bus and took it to her destination. She arrives at Riverwood. Apparently this is where all of her former friends moved to. She walked up to a log cabin. It had a corroded flag at the top of it that read, "Welcome to Riverwood." She walked inside, seeing her friends with the paper that she couldn't trust. Let the ritual begin. Not much happened in that chapter, only that Evelyn is now a part of something bigger, apparently. So yeah, let's move on to chapter 2, Nightmare in Riverwood. There we go, okay. Chapter 2, Nightmare in Riverwood. Evelyn wanted to catch up with her friends, but they clearly weren't playing around. The room was filled with candles. Evelyn didn't have the courage to tell them what they were doing was suspicious. "What's up with those papers?" Evelyn asked them. They were holding the same paper she saw at the store. "They say what is drawn on this paper comes to life," says Damaris. "It depends on the kind of spirit that shows up, if it's angel or demon." Evelyn was confused. She didn't know what to say. After what she had just told, they held up the drawings they drew on the demonic papers. She sees the characters that they once created as children were plastered onto those papers, except for one. "Remember your first character?" Katie asked. Evelyn was still processing what was brought to her. They handed her an old, dusty pencil and her very own paper. She begins drawing. She knows what characters they were talking about. She began drawing the face. She drew the jaw, then the 10 teeth. She drew the 2 moon-like eyes and the ears. She added a shirt with 6 buttons, then the furry limbs. Then she finally puts the bushy tail. "You have one more thing you need to do," says Damaris. They hand her an 80% finished drawing. It was the characters they all worked on together to create Charles. It already had the bow tie, the smiley face, the black suit, but didn't have the white top hat. That part was for her to draw. She began adding on the hat. After she got finished, she placed it on the table with the other drawings. A few seconds later, the candles went out. Everybody jumped, like they just got back into reality. "What did we just do?" asked Katie. The paper all started to float in the air. The drawings were coming to life. "Let's just hope they're angels, not demons," says Damaris. They watched as the door slammed open, and the specters rushed in.